Using timeout the right way to gently shape your child's behavior. Hey everyone, today I want to share with you a method that I've found super helpful in parenting. It's called timeout. It sounds simple, but did you know that about 85% of parents don't use timeout correctly? According to a 2017 study by Riley A.R. and colleagues? Hearing that number really shocked me, because I used to struggle with it too, not knowing how to do it right. So, what is timeout, and how can we make it work effectively? Let's dive in together. First off, I'd like to go over the main points so you can get the gist of it. Timeout isn't about punishing your child harshly. It's a moment to help them calm down and reflect on their not-so-great behavior before dealing with the consequences. It works especially well for stubbornness, aggression, or sudden outbursts of anger. But to pull it off, we as parents need to prepare carefully, from picking the behaviors to address, setting up the timeout spot, deciding the duration, to handling resistance when it comes up. Now, let me break it down step by step. Stick with me. Okay? Why timeout is a parent's secret weapon? Guys, picture this. Your kid is 2 or 3, maybe even 8, and they're turning the house upside down, throwing toys, screaming their lungs out, and you're just ready to wave the white flag. That's when I discovered timeout, and honestly, it's been a lifesaver. Experts say that when done right, timeout stops reinforcing those unwanted behaviors. It's like pulling your child out of the battle zone for a few minutes to cool off. What I love about timeout is that it's not just a quick fix, it's a skill kids can carry with them as they grow. When they're stressed or overwhelmed, they can learn to step aside and calm down. Isn't that priceless? But here's a little tip from the pros at Oregon Health and Science University. Stick to the 2 no's rule. No talking. No doing anything. It's tough at first, I'll admit, because I'd want to lecture or scold. But I've realized staying quiet helps them focus on calming down so much better. Which behaviors should trigger a timeout? Here's the thing, friends. Before you start using timeout, you've got to set the ground rules with your kid. Which behaviors will land them there? For my little one, it's throwing toys when they're mad or hitting their sibling. That's when I know timeout will come in handy. I usually give a short heads up first. Like, if you keep throwing toys, I'll need you to go to the quiet corner to calm down. Short and sweet, but clear enough for them to get it. Now, if it's something more serious, like fighting or something unsafe, I don't hesitate to skip the warning and go straight to timeout. But to make that work, I've had to sit down with my kid beforehand and explain which actions cross the red line. It takes patience to lay it out like that, but I swear it's worth it because they start to catch on over time. Picking the perfect timeout spot. Have you ever thought about how much the timeout spot matters? I've learned it's a game changer. For little ones who can't sit still, I go with a separate room. But it's got to be bare, no toys. Nothing that'll tempt them to keep acting up. Imagine putting them in timeout in a room full of toys. It's like inviting them to play instead. For older kids, I've found a smaller spot works fine. A chair in the corner, the bottom step of the stairs, or a quiet hallway. The key is it has to be peaceful and distraction-free. And here's the hard part. No chatting with them. No handing over phones or toys. I used to struggle with that, wanting to say a few words. But I've seen how silence really makes a difference. How long should timeout last? Okay, the timing part is pretty cool. I learned from the experts that it's 1 minute per year of age. So, a 4-year-old gets 4 minutes. A 7-year-old gets 7, simple and sensible. Right? But here's a little trick. I only start the clock once they're quiet. If they're still crying or yelling, I wait until they settle down completely before counting. At first, I'd get antsy, thinking, why won't they just hush already? But then I realized it takes time for them to calm down, and I've got to stay calm too. To set the example. Makes sense, doesn't it? What to do when they fight back against timeout. Let me be real with you. My kid doesn't always go quietly to timeout. There've been times they'd yell, "I'm not going," and put up a fight. It threw me off at first. But I've learned to plan ahead. If they refuse, I give a calm warning about a natural consequence. Like, if you don't go to the quiet corner, you won't get to play with your toys today. And if they still dig their heels in, I don't force the time out, I switch to a bigger consequence. Like taking away a favorite toy for a bit. What's neat is that when I stick with it, they start to figure out that a few minutes of timeout beats losing privileges for a whole day. But it takes consistency. If I waver, they'll catch on quick. Practice makes perfect with timeout. Here's the honest truth, friends. Timeout isn't a magic wand you wave and everything's fixed. It takes practice, preparation, and a whole lot of sticking with it. Some days I'm exhausted and just want to yell to get it over with. But I tell myself, no, I've got to do this right so they learn something good. I've also realized timeout is just one tool in the toolbox. There are other ways to guide their behavior. Praising them when they're good. Talking to understand their feelings. The biggest thing is connecting with them. Showing them I'm not the bad guy, but their teammate. Parenting's a long road, but I believe if we keep at it, our kids will grow up strong and steady. So, what do you think about this timeout approach? I hope these heartfelt thoughts help you feel less lost in the parenting game. If you've got any cool tips of your own, I'd love to hear them. Share with me. Okay?